I can't believe I'm saying this, but Phantom of the Opera on Broadway has officially announced that it is closing on February. Wow. Let's just Chicle Chat about it.
Chicle!
Welcome to Chicle Chat. It's your boy Chicle. Last week, they have announced that Phantom of the Opera on Broadway has listed its closing date, something that we were not ready for. I could understand that there were other shows that were going to close. I knew that we were going to have musicals that ran for like at least a year, 2 or 3, just close. I mean, it is what it is. But long time running musicals like Lion King, Chicago, Wicked, and Phantom were musicals that we thought were like the staple, and we thought they were permanent because of how long they've been running. But when we got the announcement that Phantom is closing, the longest running Broadway show in Broadway history, everyone just lost their minds. We don't know what this means. But I will tell you a little bit about Phantom of the Opera. We'll tell you a little bit about why, and then let's just start there, because it's been a week and I'm still losing my mind about it. Phantom of the Opera made it on Broadway for previews in January 1988. And it has won 7 Tonys out of the 10 that it was nominated for. Mainly Best Musical, won Best Direction, which was Harold Prince, a legendary director who has been directing numerous shows, and Phantom being the most iconic. It was music by Andrew Lloyd Webber. Although he didn't win a Tony for that, he lost against Stephen Sondheim with Into the Woods, which was the same musical that it ran during that time. It also won a few Tonys, such as Best Actor, which was Michael Crawford, who played Phantom, Featured Actress, which was Judy Kaye, and then it also won a couple Tonys, such as Best Costuming, Best Scenic, and Best Lighting. So guys, that is a pretty good number of Tonys right there. Now, of course, we have to rewind a little bit because it did make it to West End in 1986 with the same directing team of Harold Prince, Andrew Lloyd Webber, and Cameron Mackintosh. And of course, we also have been noticing a lot of success within the 2010s as it was celebrating its 25th year, and in 2019 for its 30th anniversary. I got to see this musical a month after the 30th anniversary when I was still living in New York City, because I couldn't be in New York without watching Phantom of the Opera. And oh my gosh, it was incredible. I knew a couple of people from the cast who taught me at the Institute for American Musical Theater, and even former performers were also part of the staff of IMT. And oh my gosh, it was incredible how it's like, I feel like we were all part of the Phantom family because of how many people from Phantom of the Opera were part of the faculty. It was incredible. And, you know, they taught us so much about musicals and what it's like to be in the industry, how to sing well, how to dance well, etc. And got a little bit of a sneak peek to see some people perform in Phantom of the Opera. Dude, like, it was a magical thing. Now, of course, we have to fast forward a little bit more to a year later, which is something that I still today do not like to discuss about. March 2020, the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. This completely changed everything. It wasn't just Phantom, it changed everything. Broadway was shut down and it was black for a year and a half. West End had to shut down. Other places had to shut down. Everything around the world had to shut down during that whole entire month because we all had to figure out what the heck to do when this virus was going around. Now, a year and a half later, musicals on Broadway and other places around the world have been opening up around October, September, November, depending on the company and the show and the theater. And of course, around October 2021, specifically October 22nd, Phantom of the Opera has returned on Broadway. Now, of course, after its reopening, it was struggling a little bit when it came to ticket sales, mainly because of the COVID-19 cases themselves. Because sometimes people in a cast or crew, pretty much other shows too, like Aladdin, Music Man, and The Lion King, Frozen, all these other musicals, they would have to cancel shows, and then they would have to let us know like within a week or two if they're gonna open again. So with all these canceling shows, which was something that we don't see a lot, but because of the pandemic, that was the case, it really hurt their ticket sales. So they had to force themselves after the last couple of weekends checking out their revenue of how many ticket sales they have made. They had to make the announcement to close this musical, and they have decided to make a closing date on February 18th, 2023, which is a month after the 35th anniversary. Think about this for a second. A musical on Broadway that has been running for 35 years, since 1988. Because when you think about it, all your favorite shows, the longest it could run would probably be about 9 to 10 years. And even some of the good ones would run for like a year or 2 or 5. Like, I would be surprised if the next day they would close Hamilton. I would cry. I think everyone around the world would cry if that ever happens. Not to jinx it. Please don't hate me in the comments. But I mean, this stuff happens. The motto is that Broadway shows don't run forever. And this show definitely hits us the most. This was a show that has been running internationally. It is a show that brought everyone around the world to the city just to watch this musical. You still have the one running at West End, you have a production in Australia, and then you're hearing stuff about a Mandarin version in China, and then you also have like a Spanish one, I want to say in Spain or South America, but they're having all these tour. This is insane. And not to mention, like, I knew a couple of people who are bigger Phantom of the Opera fans than I am, and they would see it every single night. They would just have stacks of Phantom of the Opera playbills. They have like collections of like the 25th anniversary, 30th anniversary, the original. Like, there's so many people who are obsessed with this musical. I'm not as obsessed with Phantom like others, but I just admire how beautiful this musical is, and it's just so sad that it is closing in a few months. I just still couldn't accept it. It is very sad. So now here's my other question, because this is not only a long-running show. We have musicals such as the revival of Chicago and The Lion King that's on Broadway. Now, of course, The Lion King is currently the highest grossing Broadway show in history, and it has been running for over 25 years. As well as Chicago. I think it's 25, 26 years now. I could be wrong about both, but 25 years, that's like second and third place in a race. And with Phantom ending at 35, could these two long-running musicals run for another decade? Especially with the post-pandemic and how it had a huge effect with revenue and sales with tickets? It just depends. Especially with other musicals coming on Broadway, and then of course having to be alert with COVID-19. Who the heck knows what's going to happen? All we do know is that it is sad for a musical to close. Hopefully musicals like Wicked, Lion King, and Chicago can continue to run as long as it possibly can. And I would be surprised if I had to make a video in the next 10 years about Lion King running over 35 years. That would be gnarly. Anyway, just to get back on track, I'm very sad that it's closing, and I know that everyone that has a great connection with this musical has to hear the bad news about it. And honestly, that's how it is. Broadway shows don't run forever, and we all thought Phantom was going to be permanent, but, with what's going on in the world, it is what it is. Well, anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for today's video. We're going to be coming back with another vlog on October 7th, so be sure to stay tuned with that, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Right.